Good morning. It is 8 o'clock. Here we are in San Antonio and hoping that there will be rain. My mom would talk about if there was rain that happened on the day of a wedding, especially during the wedding. And she would also say the same thing like at funerals, if it rained on that day or during that, right? That it was truly blessed. It was like people would also often talk about, oh no, it rained, but she always saw that as blessing. And so I'm hoping that our time today will be blessed with some rain. That would be good. So we're going to wait just a couple minutes so we can get as many people into the Zoom room as possible before we start our conversation today. Are there any announcements? I know there's one announcement of next week and Sacred. Billy, do you want to mention that for folks?
Yes, Karen and I were talking about that right when you came in. Next Thursday, the 14th at 8:30 at Region 20, Sacred will be hosting a community discussion on housing-related topics. Bill's got some amazing speakers lined up to come bring up to lead the discussion. So look forward to having you there. Region 20 offices, 8:30 next Thursday, the 14th.
Thank you. Is there like registration, sign up, or anything for
There is.
that?
I will pull that up and put that in the chat.
There's not cost though, is there?
No, it is no cost. It's free to
Okay.
attend.
But they need a number to figure out things. That's good.
Well,
Okay.
I think you'll want to know when and more of the details, but yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Let's see, what else do we have in here? Somebody posted something with several different dates. Here we go. Yep,
Yeah,
looks like a
and one thing
Sammy
that's
thing.
happening today, and Sam put it in the chat, is
Uh-huh.
we have a three-part series going with NOMOS, the National Organization for Men Against Sexism. And today from 10 to noon is a conversation about men's violence. It's not about anger management. And these are all these calls are on Zoom. There's links that Sam has attached in the chat.
It's
And all
great.
these are international speakers. Most of them for the United States. They're all, doctorates in their field. They've been doing this work for 30, 40, 50 years. Just looking at, the subject matter, men's violence is in anger management, domestic violence, and increased risk of heart disease and cancer, which ties in ACEs into people who are violent or people who are abusive, how the ACEs affect their lives in so many different ways. Then you're going to talk about men ending violence in a couple of weeks, also followed up by enhancing men's lives. And then in December, we'll have a talk about men's mental health and then the parent alienation syndrome that's been going on for ever and a day. So,
Wow. That's so
some
exciting.
really,
Kendra
really
also,
good stuff. Really good
yep,
stuff.
it continues.
Yeah,
Out
and
of
it's
this
free.
collaboration, right? This community collaboration, this domestic violence effort has come a long ways. Kendra, you have your hand up, and I have Kendra.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to share that yesterday I saw an article that IKEA has made a demo home based off of inspiration from Town Twin Village, and they will be that home at Town Twin Village. It's really state of the art. I believe it's San Antonio Express News. I just thought everybody should know that they are inspiring that national company to build homes that feel like cocoons and make people feel safe in that tiny home model.
See, look at San Antonio. We got it going on with IKEA as well. I also noticed that Don Larson put in chat about the giving machine. Don, do you want to tell us just a little bit about that amazing giving machine?
You bet. The giving machines are returning to San Antonio and this holiday season, and I put the information in chat. If you'd like an opportunity to bring your families out to the historic Pearl, share some good time together, and then take advantage of these giving machines. They're just like vending machines, but instead of putting money in and receiving a soda pop or a bag of chips, you actually get to give back to charities right here in our local community, or a couple of global charities that have been chosen to be in that machine. It's a really unique way to teach children and young family members how to support local charities. There's some great charities that we've chosen to be in the giving machines this year, and it's becoming a tradition during the holiday season at the Pearl. So we invite you to come down during that time, bring your families, really enjoy some great activities and give back to our community.
You know, it also makes me think, Don, about, and this is like a bigger project, but what if there were giving machines all the time in, I want to say high traffic areas, right? But high traffic areas. But I'm also thinking even like in hotels, you know, and an expression and put together somehow as an expression that, you know, how we're all part of creating community every day, right? In this opportunity, you know, so it would also be messaging and maybe creating a greater sense of community. It's just such a great thing. And I know it went really well last year
Yeah.
at the Pearl. So
The interesting
that's
thing is
amazing.
that thank you. We've just one more thought on that. We've really thought about how it really lines up with our compassion in our San Antonio, and how it lines up with how we give back to each other. And it's part of the Light the World campaign that really starts during the whole holiday season and goes through Christmas. And so you'll learn more about Light the World. The beautiful thing about this charity, last thing also, our opportunity, is that it's completely 100% funded already by the church. And so you can give to this charity, and 100% of your donation goes to the charity of your choice. So there's no fees that are held back. There's no administration of any of that stuff. It's all taken care of by the church.
Wow. Wow. This is where we need to be, right? In all things. It's just all like happening, taken care of, moving, and we can all participate. So it's 8:07. And here we are on November 7th, 2 days after our national election on the 5th of November. Some of you will remember about a month ago, in here at the intersection, we gathered together and we talked about where we were at that time and how we were feeling, how the community was feeling. And then also looking at how could we prepare for the needs of people after November 5th, on November 6th. So I kind of want to do the same thing today with us. When I sent out this notification yesterday, I did include the recording link from one of those things that came out of our efforts early in October, but a gathering at Main Plaza downtown between, I'm going to share a screen now, share sound, optimize. It was symbolically set between the cathedral downtown and the city council chambers. So right at that intersection between faith and civic society. And you'll also see on the screen, hopefully you're seeing this is City Hall right behind us. So, so symbolically on a beautiful day, we had some of our community organizations plan and pull us together to gather. We all know from all of our compassion work that we've been doing over these last years that the number one way that humans heal as a group of humans is by gathering together. And that is even better done when it's done outside and you're breathing oxygen. This is all neuroscience and how we heal. But we also know within us already that we also heal by spirit and knowing each other and developing relationships. So Some sound going on. Billy, do you want to check on those microphones? Folks might want to. Here we go. I got it. So what I'd like to do is do a do-over. Do it again, not a do-over, but do it again, what we did a month ago. So I'm going to invite all of us to go old school right now. And make sure you have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil to your side. And we're going to be talking about hopefully where we're and how we're moving next. But I want to start with just a portion of the recording yesterday. And again, I sent out that link. It's about 30 minutes total. This begins at about minute 8. And that's where I'm going to start. I have it prompted. Let's see if it'll work. That's where I want to start today to kind of get us focused. So let's see what we can do here. Billy, can we hear this?
No, ma'am, no audio.
No audio.
Did you share with sound and for video?
I did. I did. Do you hear ambient noise?
Good
There's-
morning, everyone.
Now I can
Buenos
hear it.
dias.
It's really
Okay,
quiet,
good.
but I can hear it.
To every day in SA, our commitment to civil.
Everyone, you might want to turn up your actual computer sound. And if you have headsets or earbuds, you might be able to hear the sound better. So I encourage you to do that. The first person that we're seeing speak here is Meg Garcia. She's the executive director of the San Antonio Peace Center with Alamo Colleges. So she was one of the co-coordinators for the gathering yesterday. You'll also see in the frame to the far right is Wendy Holbrook. She too is the executive director for the Interfaith San Antonio Alliance, also one of the coordinators for yesterday, and as well as helping to lead the Interfaith Summit that we've been having in San Antonio and how we're moving to the next level in terms of our faith traditions working together. And the one person who helped coordinate, another person of the three, was standing on this side of the camera, and that was B. Moorhead with Texas Impact. But I do know in this picture that Abel, who's on the left there, and looking at our First Lady, Erica Prosper, he's on the board, I believe, with Texas Impact, as well as Bishop Sue Brainer, who's there on the right, standing next to Wendy. So if anybody was trying to get their headsets and earbuds, I was giving you time to do that with a little commentary. So we're going to try again. Lean in, and I'll quit talking.
Compassion, and community. My name is Migdalia Garcia. I'm with the San Antonio Peace Center. As we gather here in the heart of San Antonio, between the intersection, at an intersection of faith and politics, we're reminded of the community we have been building. A community rooted in kindness, understanding, and interdependence. This gathering represents the spirit in our collective efforts over the year. This gathering represents the voices, celebrates every background, and embraces compassion as the cornerstone of our civic life. This gathering, you all gathered here today, and those joining us online, this is a reaffirmation of our values as a compassionate city. We are honored to have such a diverse group of partners and speakers and supporters here today, and we extend our deepest gratitude for your presence. Across San Antonio, across Texas, and I dare to say across the United States, people are having similar gatherings, reflecting and creating space that is dedicated to fostering the empathy and unity we know that makes us our best. Before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge the ancestral land of the Coahuiltecan and Tonkawa peoples, and we express our deep gratitude to them and all who have stewarded this land before us. This place we call our city, our home, holds the stories and the legacies of the many generations gathered here today. We honor our history and our commitment to them by our presence today. Let us listen deeply to one another, appreciate the voices and experiences shared, and renew our personal commitment to lead with compassion and interdependence. Let us affirm our dedication to civility, compassion, and community, making a step more inclusive for our compassionate San Antonio. Let us begin with an open heart and a spirit of kindness. I'd like to invite Wendy Holbrook.
Antonio Alliance. And so, in the spirit of faith, let us bring our hearts and minds together for these words shared from the Right Reverend Stephen Charleston, who's a Native American theologian. This prayer comes from his book, the Anti-Racism Prayer Book. Let me not look away, O God, from any truth I should see, even if it is difficult. Let me face the reality in which I live. I do not want to live inside a cosseted dream, imagining I am the one who is always right, or believing only what I want to hear. Help me to see the world through other eyes, to listen to voices distant and different, to educate myself to the feelings of those with whom I think I have nothing in common. Break the shell of my indifference. Draw me out of my prejudices and
Sorry about this. Thinking, right? Well, we're going to let it keep thinking. Okay. We're just let this happen. I hope you can hear my voice. Billy, can you hear my voice?
You're good. Yes.
Okay, good. So we're going to go ahead and jump in our old school process that I'm inviting us into while this is buffering. I was hoping we'd hear more of the prayer, and I think we will. I might stop sharing, and maybe that'll help it kind of like boot itself, right? So I invite you to that piece of paper that you have to the side there. And if you remember, and were a part of our process about a month ago, there were three. There we go. Look at that. Can you hear it?
I don't think you're sharing this time.
I'm not. I'm gonna try to make sure it just doesn't keep going like that. Okay. But there were three steps in our process. So I want to invite you into the first step on your piece of paper. So when we met about a month ago, the first step is when we or you, and then you fill in the blank, right? Our when a month ago was where we were and had been in terms of an election season and what was going on, all the conversations around that, but also with election day coming up. That was our collective win, right? That's our starting point. So I invite each of us on that piece of paper to now fill in that blank for yourself. Here we are on November the 7th, when when you, however you want to begin that frame, and fill in that blank. Where you are today, where we are today, where others might have engaged us in ways in the last couple days. Filling in that blank is you, right? It's us, it's we. So making that, as real as we can. And as adults too, we tend to remember things if we take them in at least 3 different ways and 3 times. So, I'm inviting you, and you've heard it. You're also writing it down. So hopefully that will help your memory and learning in this experience. But also I invite you later, after we close today, to share what's on your piece of paper with someone else. Okay? So I'm going to see if we can go back to what I was sharing and see if it's doing any better, and maybe we just won't end up watching it, right? That happens sometimes. And it's still thinking, so it's not meant to be, at least now. So I invite you to start then thinking on that piece of paper, the second part of this process. So the first one is when, we, I, you. Second part, I feel. And you fill in that blank. All the feelings that you have. It might not be a list, but it could be a list of many things and what you are feeling. And as you've probably heard, the more in touch you can be with your feelings, right? So there's truth to that. So write those feelings down. And if you want, you could make another column or something to the side of maybe how the community that you're in, or the congregation, or your organization, or your family, more of a group dynamic, right? Of feelings. How's your family feeling? I mean, again, part of that you have to intuit, but there you also have some knowledge from what you've probably heard. Your family, how are people within your congregation or organization, your neighborhood, your close friends. You could make that list as well. So, but make sure you have your feelings for yourself. Make sure you have that. And then possibly having a similar list, but who you are in a larger body of people. And then the last of this 3-part process is the critical word is need. I need. And then fill in the blank. This is where being really clear on your feelings becomes so important and informative, is at this need line. It's not about I want, although that's also an important phrase to finish, or I wish, or I pray, all important things. But need tends to be more out of the center of ourselves, our bodies, our spirit and soul. It's deeper, and it's built on how you're feeling. I need. So I'll give an example. I don't want to color your needs, but you might need space. Your feelings, you got a lot. You might need space. You might need to breathe. You might need to call somebody. I don't know what it is, right? But it's based on how you're feeling, when and where you are now. What is that need? So to give us a little bit more time in terms of the next step that each of us might take into the world. And I know within my ongoing kind of group of community, we also talk about the next step and how we can be faithful to just the next step, not the whole picture, but the next step. And how often the next step can actually lead us forward into things that we had not even imagined, and lead us into places and ways that can help us in our journey forward. So that's going to be our kind of final part. But what I'd like to do now in chat is to invite everybody. So we're going to go back in the process and just like with a word or two, you know, we'll just do the feelings. I think we have a pretty good idea where most of us are right now, are when. So if you would just put out feelings into the chat, just how you're feeling. And we're not, you know, we'll keep everything here. Okay, okay, there we go. My grandchildren would call these big feels, right? What are your feels this morning? Your big feels. And maybe another thing we can do while you're reading those, while I'm reading them as well, to support each other, you can even put your hand up, that little icon when you see something, or even note those in chat, because you can do emojis, right? You just go to like Jane here says sad and refusing, right? Let's see, what would be a good, I'm going to put in a heart. Wherever you feel some similarities, please consider putting something there. And you can have mixed emotions, by the way, right? You can feel at peace while also feeling sad. So I'm trying to give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. I'm noting things with let's just all use hearts that I'm feeling the same way. You're not alone, right? You're not alone. We're not alone. We're not alone. And I love the different answers we're getting here. Because I know in our greater community, without taking a survey, I know in our greater community, our emotions and feelings yesterday and today are full spectrum, right? We have people in our community, and I'm talking about all of San Antonio, that are having feelings that are full spectrum. Now, it might be different if we were from a smaller community. I grew up in near a village of 300. So, you know, there might be a lot of similarity in that space. But at 2 million, we're going to have the spectrum. And we all know that, right? And now I'd like to move to the last one, and to just name your need. The third question, your need as basic as possible. As I mentioned, an example, space, breathing. I know for me yesterday, I needed family. I knew that. I needed family. Let's see. Time, truth. Mm. You are all warming my heart. I hope this is helping to warm others' hearts, even though we've only really met virtually at the intersection. we can, warm each other's hearts. And we are a community. Peter added, always a good one, Peter. Peter added gratitude. What gratitude can do, right? What do we have? So I'm going to pause here because it's 8:30 and thank those who might need to be moving on with meetings in their lives. And I think we've got most of the basics, right? The next thing that I'm going to be doing in this process is then inviting each of us to think about what is my very next step that I need to take. So yesterday, for example, when I recognized I needed family, I texted both of my daughters and I said, hey, can we get together this evening? That was my next step to move me towards family. And my youngest reminded me, don't you remember? It's Miles' birthday today. So tonight won't work for me because we're going miniature golfing. And even that was such a great thing to hear and read, right? Still celebrating birth, right? And family. But I was able to meet with my oldest daughter's family. Man, she made some good lasagna last night. And that helped me, the warmth of food and family. So for those who need to leave, thank you for being with us. We're going to stay on if anybody wants for another about 15 minutes. We'll close at 8:45. Next 2 weeks, we're going to come back to the environment and sustainability. And we're going to be hearing from some of the folks here at the intersection and how micro grants from the city has helped grow their efforts within their congregations and organizations. So I do hope that you join us for the next 2 weeks. Don't forget our regular day off. We took an extra one this year because July 4th was on a Thursday, but annually we have not had the intersection on Thanksgiving Thursday. So make sure you note your calendar. So in 3 weeks, 3 Thursdays, we will not be meeting. Okay, so we're going to come back together. Hopefully, I'm really enjoying what's happening in chat, and I hope I'm inviting everybody to be reading those. There's always going to be a winner and loser, but when the dust settles, we all still need to come together and work on making America totally equitable, fair, just, and with equal opportunity for all. One of the things in the recording from yesterday, one of our speakers showed up, Podia, who is the dream master of Dream Week and helps to coordinate that. But he's from Nigeria, and one of the examples he gives in the recording is that in Nigeria, when two siblings are fighting, they're both losers. No one wins. And so, it comes from a different cultural context, but I think that concept is very important. It also reminds me of the biblical, somebody, came and, they were fighting over a baby, and the king said, well, we'll just cut that baby in half and then you'll each get a part, right? Of what? So Show really reminded me of that when he spoke yesterday. And again, that's in the recording. Looking at more things. Oh, you're welcome. How much we need faith. Continue to connect. All right, so I'm hoping now that you've all each written down an exact, precise next step, like me texting my daughters so that I could be with family. And I'm going to invite you if you want to share what your next step is. And, raise your hand or just open your mic. We're a little bit smaller, but our ideas of next steps can also inform, our own ideas, like, oh, I hadn't thought about that, right? That's a great next step. But taking that next step. Anyone? Well, I know what I need. And I know I need several things, right? But I know one thing I need. One of the things Sho also said that he was just exhausted from all of these past months. And that's in the recording as well. I really, if you haven't watched the recording, I really encourage you. I was hoping to see this morning through Erica Prosper speaking at the microphone. But she really set the context, I think, in terms of compassion. But I need some space and some time. And I know that always healing and community, it takes time. It's not, an overnight thing, right? It's just not. Humans don't move that way. But it's just been a very intense couple weeks for me, but I know for many of us. So I am blocking off, and this is difficult in my role, but I am, because I work a lot on weekends, like many of you do. I am blocking off my Saturday and Sunday. I mean, that does not sound like rocket science because it is not. I probably should block off every Saturday and Sunday, but that's not my call in the world. It's not my role. It's not who I want to be all the time, but I know that I need, a block of space and time. So I'm blocking off my calendar. That's my next faithful step. And then I'm going to find out where that leads me. Anyone else willing to share? Courageous enough to share your next step? Oh, going to visit friends this afternoon. Jane has it on her calendar. Adiba, she's clapping. There you go. Good support. So we're going to clap for Jane as well. Go, Jane. Meet with those friends. But Adiba's going to say something now. So unmute. There you go.
And well, I'm going to write my son a letter. He just went to basic training in the Air Force. And I can't even imagine what they're going through there right now. But I also would like to share something I didn't think about before is on one of the news, they announced they're looking for 400 families to sponsor Airmen Basics that are going through training for Thanksgiving dinner. And it's going to be those that are in their last couple of weeks. It's a 7.5-week basic training now for the Air Force. So maybe that's something someone would like to do, have 1 or 2 airmen in their home for Thanksgiving that are away from home.
If you got that in an email, Adiba, if you got that in an email about those 400 families,
okay.
If you could send that to me, we can also send that in our news. So I'm sorry. So did somebody else jump in? Thank you for sharing, Adiba.
I was just going to say, we've done that in the past. It's very nice. Very appreciated.
Mm-hmm. We heard another yesterday after the gathering. Many of us stayed, and I wish, in fact, I'd taken pictures during that time because it lasted a while in pairs or in triads. People were just, the conversation and the gathering just continued. But there was one effort, and I'm going to say it now, but it applies to our next 2 weeks because there's one effort. Somebody applied for one of those micro grants to put into existing homes that do not have heat and air conditioning, that the deaths that do at-home deaths, some of those that happen because of heat, and the in-home temperature is 102 to 105 degrees. So the grant that she wrote and got the funding for will put mini splits into 100 homes in San Antonio that already exist. And at this time, she has 30 homes signed up. But she can't move forward on the grant until she has 100 to install in. So you'll be seeing that. We can help make that happen. I bet each of us, and we had 30 some come this morning. I wish I had said this before, but I bet each of us could find at least one home that could use heating and air conditioning, right? It's 8:40. We could probably hear from one more next step. And I invite you to be faithful to that and just do it. Write that letter to your son. Meet with your friends. Block off your calendar. Oh my gosh, what crazy things are we doing now, right? Well, I'm going to try one more time to share. I'm going to just leave it that you all are, and it's still buffering, I think. Just wasn't meant to be. I'm going to open it anyway. Let's just see. No,
I did add the link in the chat and I can send
good.
that.
I also invite, and we might even put their names in here. I don't know, Wendy, Mig, and B at Texas Impact. Those are three important connections for all of us. So I will do that real quick. Mig Garcia, we did hear her speak already. She's with the San Antonio Peace Center through Alamo Colleges, which also includes Compassionate San Antonio, as well as Compassionate USA. That's all right there. I'm going to try to get an email for her. I have it, but I want to make sure to move on. Wendy Holdbrook. And she was leading the prayer that we couldn't quite hear, right? She's with the Interfaith San Antonio Alliance. And we're also partnering in terms of the Interfaith Summit that has been running since July, and how San Antonio faith community can like step up their game. I haven't used that term with it yet, but how we can be even stronger. We have made great strides, but she's the executive director there, and she was the one who was leading the prayer. All of these, of course, entities can be Googled if I don't quite get to those emails. And some of you know these folks, right? The last one who was behind the camera is B. Moorhead, and I know many of you know her. She's with Texas Impact out of Austin, and they're an interfaith organization that also focuses on advocacy through the interfaith world, right? Oh, you do that, Peter. You do that. Spend more time on your last vacation day. Look at you coming to this on your last vacation day. Thank you for that. So I am going to try quickly for anybody who wants to wait. I am going to get email addresses. So Meg, where are you? Meg Garcia, 1295 at alamo.edu. Okay. And I'm pretty certain of Wendy's, but I'm not going to risk misquoting, but it's Wendy, Wyndee, at Interfaith SA Alliance. There are two A's there before the .org. Your eyes might not catch it, the first time, but copying and pasting works the best. But it does say Interfaith SAA for alliance.org. And then bees is real easy. It's BEE, like a bee that buzzes. So it's B at texasimpact.org. And I do know that San Antonio contingency of Texas Impact is in the formation process. So if you're interested in that, I encourage you to email B and say, and I know there's already people meeting, but say, I want to hear about that and I want to be a part of that meeting. Okay. So I put all 3 of those emails. Don't be afraid to connect with them or me. And my hope is that in your faithful next step, that you might be surprised in that step as a gift. Not everybody likes surprises, so I added that as a gift. So something might happen that will be a gift that you didn't expect. Have great days. Have good weekends. Good relationships. Experience love. And I will see you next week at the intersection. Thank you all.